Budget 5G smartphones seem to be all the rage in India right now, even though 5G networks aren't really live yet over here. Now, this little guy right here is the brand new Realme Narzo 30 Pro 5G, which also happens to be the least expensive 5G smartphone in India with a starting price of just 16,999 rupees. Now, other than that, it also boasts of some pretty interesting features such as a 120Hz display, a large battery with fast charging, and of course, a powerful 5G SoC. However, it's time to find out if it's worth your money and if it's a decent upgrade over the Realme Narzo 20 Pro. Hi, I'm Royden, you're watching Gadgets 360 and this is my review of the Realme Narzo 30 Pro 5G. But before we go ahead, a quick reminder to subscribe to our channel if you haven't, and also hit that bell icon so you're the first to know whenever we have a new video. Like always, let's price the smartphone. For 16,999 rupees, you get the base variant of the Narzo 30 Pro 5G with 6 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of storage. For about 3,000 rupees more, you can get the higher variant with 8 GB of RAM and 128 GB of storage, which is the one that I'll be testing today. Now with that out of the way, let's take a look at the phone. Now I have talked about the design of the Narzo 30 Pro 5G in my first impressions piece, and even after a week of using it, my opinion hasn't really changed that much. The all-plastic body has held up well so far. Ergonomics are good and it doesn't feel very heavy even though it weighs about 194 grams. The blade silver color that I have looks nice and it does a good job of hiding fingerprints, although it would have been nice to see some sort of a design here, as without it, it does end up looking a bit bland. The side-mounted fingerprint sensor works very well. All that's needed is a quick tap to unlock this phone. All the physical buttons are also placed within reach of your fingers with good tactile feedback. Now while I'm all praises for the design, I quite like the display too, which is large and vivid. It's a 6.5-inch LCD panel with a Full HD Plus resolution. It delivers good levels of brightness and color saturation. Now I would have liked an AMOLED panel on the Pro model, but I think the inclusion of 120Hz refresh rate kind of makes up for it. Now one thing I did notice is that on the default auto setting, the display runs at 90Hz and not 120Hz, which seems to be by design according to Realme. You'll have to manually set the refresh rate to 120Hz to get the smoothest effect, which is still adaptive and will cycle between 120, 90 and 60Hz based on your activity. The Realme Narzo 30 Pro 5G is powered by the MediaTek Dimensity 800U SoC, which has a built-in 5G modem. It is a powerful and power-efficient processor, and we've also recently seen it in Realme's own X7 smartphone. The internal storage is expandable via the hybrid SIM slot. You get Realme UI version 1 running on Android 10 out of the box. This is a bit disappointing as Android 11 has been out for a bit and it's something that others are offering at the same price range. But it's not a big deal breaker since this phone should be one of the first in line to get the Realme UI 2.0 update, which is based on Android 11. The current version is still highly functional and I don't really have any complaints with it. You get plenty of shortcuts, gestures, and options to customize your experience of the phone. Now, some of the preloaded apps have the tendency to clutter your notification shade with alerts, but you can disable this or simply uninstall most of them. When it comes to performance, the Realme Narzo 30 Pro 5G has been pretty solid all around in the short time I've been using it. Thanks to its processor, multitasking and gaming has been a breeze, and I didn't really notice any heating issues either, except for maybe gaming when the back of the phone gets a bit warm. The interface feels snappy thanks to the high refresh rate, and scrolling through most of the system menus and even apps feel fluid. Games such as Call of Duty Mobile and also others ran smoothly with very playable frame rates. Overall, the Narzo 30 Pro 5G is a dependable smartphone for everyday use. Talking about the 5G aspect, well, it is new for a phone at this price, but since 5G networks aren't live in India yet, I wasn't able to actually test it out. This brings us to battery life. You get a 5000 mAh battery which easily lasts for more than a day with heavy to medium usage. The phone also supports 30-watt dart charge fast charging, which is a big downgrade sadly from the 65-watt charging that we saw on the Narzo 20 Pro. It takes a little more than an hour to fully charge the battery, which is still relatively quick. In our battery loop test, the phone lasted for a little under 17 hours, which is a good sign. Now let's get down to the cameras. It's a run-of-the-mill affair with a 48 megapixel primary, an 8 megapixel ultra-wide and a 2 megapixel macro cameras arranged vertically at the back, and a 16 megapixel selfie camera. Now, during the day, the main camera captured good details and colors in landscape shots. The AI Scene Enhancer has a tendency to boost colors when it detects the sky or even foliage, so if you want natural color tones, it's best to leave it off. Close-ups have excellent detail too, with smooth bokeh effects for the background. You only get a 10x digital zoom for stills, but instead of doing this, cropping your subject from a native 48 megapixel photo generally yields slightly better results. I found low-light performance to be a bit lacking, especially for landscape shots. The lack of details is very evident in photos even without having to magnify them. Close-ups fare a bit better, but provided there's decent amount of light on your subject. Night mode helps in improving the exposure, but not so much when it comes to details. The selfie camera is not bad if you're shooting outdoors on a bright, clear day. Details and exposure are handled well, and the default skin smoothing isn't too aggressive. Skin tones are a bit of a mess if you're shooting in low light and using the screen flash. For video, the autofocus system in the Realme Narzo 30 Pro 5G worked very well as long as there's ample light around your subject. Video quality is decent during the day, although not great. Stabilization also works at 4K and 1080p 30 fps, but there is some visible jitter in the footage. Sadly, you don't get any stabilization with the ultra-wide camera. Now, low-light video quality is quite poor unfortunately, as the footage is generally grainy and details are below average. The Realme Narzo 30 Pro 5G is a fairly competent all-rounder from the company and a modest upgrade over the Narzo 20 Pro. The weak low-light camera performance is probably its biggest negative point among other minor niggles, but it does have quite a few redeeming features. The 120Hz display, 5G support, good performance and strong battery life are some of the main reasons you should consider the base variant. Now, the top-end variant on the other hand offers comparatively lesser value since it competes with many other good 5G smartphones in the 20,000 rupees segment. There's Realme's own X7, which offers the same MediaTek 5G SoC at around 20,000 rupees. Now, while the X7 lacks a high refresh rate display and a similar capacity battery as the Narzo 30 Pro 5G, it does make up for it with an AMOLED screen with an in-display fingerprint sensor, 50-watt fast charging, and a slimmer and lighter design. Another good alternative to consider is the Xiaomi Mi 10i, which offers even better features for a bit more money. The bottom line is, if you are considering the Realme Narzo 30 Pro 5G, then I'd recommend sticking to the base variant, which offers the best value. So that's been my review of this smartphone. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and for all things tech, log on to gadgets360.com.